All right, everybody. Hey, here we are at the Bill of Rights. One of the major sticking points in the ratification of the Constitution was the inclusion of a Bill of Rights, which the Anti-Federalists, if you're aware from previous videos, the Anti-Federalists ardently argued for, right, inclusion of the Bill of Rights. And ultimately they won. They won that battle, right? The Bill of Rights. By 1791, in fact, the date December 15th, 1791, 3/4 of the existing state legislatures ratified the first 10 amendments, and again, commonly known as the Bill of Rights. So let's go ahead and read through a couple slides here, and then we'll actually take a look at the Bill of Rights themselves. This is one of the key issues in the debate over the ratification of the Constitution concerned individual rights. Anti-Federalist arguments regarding the lack of protections of individual liberties led to the introduction and eventual ratification of the Bill of Rights, which included freedom of speech, press, assembly, petition, and religion, due process of law, and protections against illegal searches and seizures. Moving forward here, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, of course, are called the Bill of Rights. They were ratified in 1791. They were written to address concerns raised by the Anti-Federalists. And the Bill of Rights guarantees personal freedoms and rights with limitations imposed on the federal government. So as I was thinking about what to add, in this video, I thought, you know what? The Bill of Rights only has 10 amendments, so why don't we actually look at those 10 amendments and actually read the Bill of Rights? And so that's what we're going to do. And let me bring it up here. And again, I actually won't read word for word. Well, some of them I will. Some I may summarize a little bit. But I included a list of the Bill of Rights, again, in the course folder. If you're not in the course, you'll just have to Google it, right, Bill of Rights, and bring it up. But let me go and actually just read through these. Again, you guys, it's just hard in a video like this to just try to express how significant these are in the protection of our individual freedoms and liberties that we have. So let's just kind of focus for a few minutes here. Stay with me here, and because every one of these applies to every one of us individually, and not something that we should take for granted, okay? So the First Amendment says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances, right? The First Amendment, freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, petition, right? That's the First Amendment. The Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So the Second Amendment is the famous right to bear arms amendment, right? Second Amendment, right to bear arms. Number 3 is a really interesting one, though. Number 3, no soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. Very interesting, guys. I guess apparently early on in the early colonial period, you could have been required to house soldiers in your house. Kind of interesting. I mean, in this day and age, we generally think of that. The Third Amendment is probably not one of those that is on the forefront of most of our minds, but kind of very interesting. But apparently in that day it was a big issue. So yeah, so that's typically called the quartering of soldiers. The quartering of soldiers is the Third Amendment. Fourth Amendment. Oh, let me get through here. Yeah, the Fourth Amendment is the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. So, again, Amendment number 4 is unreasonable searches and seizures. So certainly, the law enforcement cannot just come into your home and search your home without a warrant. So it protects you against unreasonable searches and seizures. Amendment number 5. Let me summarize this one here a little bit. It says no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury. And then maybe maybe a more commonly portion of Amendment 5 that we're familiar with is that nor shall you be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, or nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law. So Amendment 5 is the one that says you do not have to testify against yourself, and that you cannot be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So there is a certain legal procedure that must be taken into account there. Amendment 6 says that in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial. There it is, guys. Speedy and public trial. Now, I don't know. I guess speedy could be interpreted differently by different people, but speedy and public trial in criminal prosecutions. In suits at common law, number 7, it says in suits at common law where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, you have a right to trial by jury. Right? So there it is, guys. Right to trial. The right to trial by jury in cases greater than $20. Then we move on to Amendment number 8. Again, some of these amendments, can be sticking points today, right? And very controversial with issues that arise. But number 8 says excessive bail should not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment. So, guys, no cruel and unusual punishment. Typically, that's the issue that comes up when people debate the death penalty, right? There are those, some states have death penalty enforced, some do not. And certainly when that issue arises, typically we go back to Amendment 8 to determine, is that cruel and unusual punishment, okay? Number 9 says the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. So, in other words, we have more rights than those that are specifically spelled out in the Constitution. Okay, so it protects people from having their rights limited, really. So we have more rights than those that are specifically enumerated or spelled out in the Constitution. And then the 10th Amendment says, again, this is also a hotly debated one today. It says the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So, this 10th Amendment gets into a lot of debates that people have regarding the balance between the power of the federal government and the power of the states. Certainly, a strong states' rights proponent would certainly argue that Amendment 10 gives more power to the states, unless the Constitution specifically spells it out and gives it to the federal government. Others may interpret that a little bit differently. So, so Amendment 10 is where you get that issue between, power delegated to the national federal government and the state governments and the balance there. So there it is, guys. There's the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights, ratified in 1791 and have existed since then. So let me go back to my PowerPoint here. So again, hey, kind of in wrapping up here, guys. If you're in class, we will be looking at this in more detail. We'll look at the 10 Bill of Rights and tear them apart, break it down, and look at them more closely. If you're not in class, again, if you're watching this video and you're not in class or looking at it and viewing it in some other form or fashion, I would encourage you, don't take it for granted, you guys. Don't take it for granted. Look up the Bill of Rights. Look at all 10 of the Bill of Rights. Examine them. Know them, understand your rights. Very, very critical, guys, to all of us living in a democratic society to understand what our rights are and what our Constitution gives us. And it's important to do some research on that. So, go ahead and do that. And for those of you that are in class, I will see you back soon, and we will tear the Bill of Rights apart and look at it more closely and in depth. Okay, see you then. Bye.